So I've never done this before on my channel, but I've decided to drop my predictions for the All-NBA teams of this season. It's truly been a great year with a lot of basketball and some more basketball to be played, but not too much of it to where I can't give my predictions for these teams. So sit back and enjoy the show because this is going to be a pretty long video, longer than my normal ones for sure. Coming in at guard for the first team, we have Steph Curry. Now Steph Curry has had a bit of a down season and he's going to miss a good chunk of the year due to an injury he sustained against the Celtics, in which he was deemed out indefinitely and will probably come back around playoff time, if not in the playoffs. I know the argument against Steph is that he's had a down year compared to his standards, and I completely understand that argument, but if you just look at his numbers, if you put those numbers on a lot of other players, those are amazing career numbers for them. And that's not to excuse Curry from having a down year, but my point in saying that is that those are still great numbers that Curry is putting up. He's averaging 26.6 assists and 5 rebounds, shooting 44% from the field, 38% from 3 on over 11 attempts a game, while shooting a league high 92% at the free throw line and a true shooting percentage of 60%. Curry still has the ability to draw in a lot of people with his gravity. I know people hate that term, but for Curry on the perimeter, nobody else draws that kind of attention, and it does matter for this Warriors offense to be successful. And I know the Warriors just dropped to the 4th seed, and by the way, side note, they better pray the Nuggets do not end with that 5th seed and they are still the 4th, because that is a horrible matchup. But in the games that Curry has played this year, they're 45-19, which is on pace in an 82 game season for 57 wins. And in the games that Curry doesn't play, they are 3-10. The Warriors are a good team, and I'm not taking any credit away from them. They work well with Curry there, but without him, they are a lottery team, and that's proven by any number that you want to pull up. Moving on to the next guard spot, we have Luka Doncic, and I can't lie, Luka has been in his bag ever since he came back from COVID and that slow start in the beginning of the season. He's been so good that he's not only worthy of being on the first team All-NBA, but he's also worthy of being an MVP candidate and will probably finish top 5 in the voting. Since January in the year of 2022, essentially, he's averaging 29 points, 9 assists, and 10 rebounds, a steal and a half, shooting 46% from the field, 36% from 3, and 75% at the free throw line. He's one of the best rebounders at his position. We all know he's one of the best scorers in the league, despite a dip in his mid-range shooting this year. He's a great playmaker, already one of the top 5 to 10 playmakers in the league, and on the defensive side of the ball, that's where the true improvement in his game this year has been. He's still not some elite on-ball defender, but he's improved in that area. He's a great team defender, his rotations are solid, and he can switch pretty well on the pick and rolls in my opinion. And with the Mavericks being the 3rd seed now in the Western Conference, and even if they fall, the lowest they're gonna probably fall is like what, the 4th? Luka's had an outstanding season. Moving on to the forwards, coming in to start us off, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis has had an amazing season. I think we all know he's worthy of this spot without even blinking. He's top 3 in the MVP award race for good reason, averaging nearly 30 points a game and 12 rebounds along with 6 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal, shooting 55% from the field and 72% at the free throw line, which accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 63%. On the defensive side of the ball, he is still the best defender in the league. At the worst, he's top 3, and because of his efforts defensively, he is the leading candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year right now. And as I mentioned earlier, with Luka improving defensively, one thing that Giannis has improved on this year is the addition of a mid-range shot. This year, he's shooting 42% from the mid-range area, and whether it's one dribble pull-ups, post fades, he really has gotten in his bag as far as expanding his game, which is the one thing I love about Giannis. He's never gonna stop trying to find new ways to get better, and this year he has found another way. Moving on to the next player on the first team, we have Nikola Jokic, and this one was a little bit weird because Jokic and Embiid are listed as forwards and centers this year, which I don't like because it's pretty problematic for years in the past. There should just be 3 centers. That's the precedent they've set, and that's how it should be. But regardless, that's how it is this year, and I believe Jokic deserves that spot due to it. He's averaging nearly 26 points a game, 8 assists, and 14 rebounds, along with a steal and a half, shooting 58% from the field, nearly 35% from 3-on-4 attempts, and 81% at the free throw line. He's arguably the best playmaker in the league. I've seen him make passes that are just truly insane, and I didn't think were possible. He's one of the best rebounders offensively and defensively that the NBA has to offer. He can score the ball in any way imaginable, and when he wants to, he can be the most unstoppable player in the league. And on the defensive side of the ball, many people aren't talking about it, but he's improved on that end as well. He's not the liability that he used to be years ago. He's not elite or anything, but he's still really good. He's closing out better. He's not just dropping back back as much as he used to. His rim protection could use a little bit of work, but he gets steals because he's active in passing lanes. He moves his feet a lot better. He truly has improved on that side of the ball. And I know a lot of people hate advanced stats. For some reason, this is the year to hate on them because Nikola Jokic is in position to win MVP and he's leading in all these numbers. But I just gave some traditional numbers earlier, so I don't see a problem with me saying that he's leading the league in value over replacement player, box plus minus, defensive box plus minus, offensive box plus minus, win shares per 48, win shares, offensive win shares, and PER with a 32.7. He's also carrying this roster because for his second best player to be, I don't know, Aaron Gordon, and they are 5th in the Western Conference is outstanding. I mean, the numbers don't lie. When Jokic is on the court, they have a 118.2 offensive rating, and when he's off the court, they have a 108.4. Then on the defensive side of the ball, when he's on the court, it's a 110.3, and when he's off, it's a 115.1. That is MVP type of impact right there, and without a doubt deserves to be on the first team. But moving on to the last member of the first team, we have Joel Embiid also at center. Embiid this year is top 5 in points per game with nearly 30 a game, 11 rebounds and 4 assists, a block and a steal, shooting 49% from the field, 36% from 3-on-4 attempts, and nearly 82% at the free throw line. Though defensively he has taken a little bit of a step back, even though he's still pretty good. He has taken a step forward offensively, not as far as his scoring, even though this is the best scoring year of his career, but in his playmaking. In the past, Embiid struggled with making the right reads out of double teams, but this year he has improved at doing that. He's made great reads, whether it's in transition, the half court, in the post, whatever way he needs to do it, he gets the job done. And even though I know he just added James Harden to the team not too long ago, before James Harden was even there, they were one of the top 4 seeds in the Eastern Conference, and that's on a team that doesn't have too many good pieces around him. Not saying everybody on that team is trash. They have Thibault, Seth Curry, they're nice role players, but if your second best player is Tobias Harris, that just shows a weakness on that roster. I mean, Maxey can ball out as much as he wants, but Tyrese Maxey is not enough for you to be a top 4 seed, but because Embiid's that good, he's made it enough. But let's move on to the second team All-NBA, and to kick things off with the first guard, we have Ja Morant. Now, as of late, a lot of people have been kinda trashing Ja because the team is able to win games without him, but I personally don't like that argument. Even though the Grizzlies, yes, they are 19-2 without him, and technically speaking, they are on a better pace to have the best record in NBA history without Ja Morant, but considering most of the teams that they have beaten are not that good, and some of them are not even playoff teams at all, the context should be needed. And if we're being real, they're not winning a playoff series without Ja Morant, and that's how you determine true value as far as star players are concerned. Not saying the team record isn't indicative on how good the team is without him, but it's not indicative on how well that team is going to function when it really matters without him. That's my point in saying that. But as far as what he's done this season, there's a reason he had a little bit of MVP buzz, because he had a great year this year. As a first-time All-Star, he averaged nearly 28 points a game, 7 assists and 6 rebounds, shooting 49% from the field, 34% from 3, which is a career high, and on a career high in attempts on nearly 5 a game, along with shooting 76% at the free throw line, which leads to a true shooting percentage of nearly 58%. Ja is literally 6'3". I repeat, 6'3", and is leading the league in points per game in the paint. And it isn't like he's inefficient there, as he's nearly shooting 70% in the restricted area, 67% to be exact. Ja is easily one of the best finishers in the NBA, whether you're looking at volume or efficiency. And with the Grizzlies being the second seed in the Western Conference, I don't see how he doesn't make the second team. But speaking of being a top seed in their conference, that brings me to the next guard, Devin Booker. Now, D-Book was a little bit of a tricky one because you could argue he's the first team just because of how good the Suns are this year. And if you want to swap him with Steph Curry, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just believe that Curry is playing better, and Booker is on a really good team that can win games with and without him, so I did have to factor that in somewhat. But nonetheless, D-Book is having one of his best seasons, averaging 26 to 27 points a game, 5 assists and 5 rebounds, shooting 46 to 47% from the field, 38% from 3 on 7 attempts a game, which is a near career high in attempts, and 88% at the free throw line. D-Book this year has been sensational in a lot of aspects. He's one of the best scorers in the league. He's shooting over 45% from the mid-range. He gets to his spots and it's in like butter. His playmaking has improved so much. He's not as turnover prone as he used to be, but the real improvement in my opinion has to be on the defensive side of the ball. Booker is really solid in one-on-one coverage. He's a solid off-ball defender. He's active with his hands. He's a team defender. His rotations have gotten a lot better. He can switch a lot better. He's good in the pick and roll. And I'm not saying he's elite or even some amazing defender, but with less offensive responsibility that he's had in the past, he's had more time to focus on that side of the ball and really lock in as opposed to the other years. And with the Suns having the best record not only in the West but in the NBA by far, there's no doubt in my mind that he's not worthy of this selection. But moving on to our first forward on the second team, we have Jason Tatum. Isn't it so crazy how Jason Tatum's season is gone? He started off so rough. The Celtics were not winning games. They were out of the playoffs. I believe they were the 11th seed at one point. Hell, I even made a video titled "Remember when Jason Tatum was up next?" And I wasn't saying he was trash or anything, but I was really doubting who he would become in his career. But oh boy, since then he has made me look like an idiot. I believe literally the day after I dropped that video, he dropped 50 points. Insane, right? But since that slow start of Jason Tatum, he has been an MVP caliber player. Yes, you heard me correctly, MVP caliber. As since the month of January, Tatum is averaging 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 48% from the field, 38% from 3 on nearly 9 attempts, and 89% at the free throw line. His playmaking has severely improved. He can find players off of missed rotations from the opposing defense. He's great in the pick and roll. He's nice with his reads in the half court or transition. On the defensive side of the ball, he's playing the best defense of his career, a great off-ball defender, is active in passing lanes, the best on-ball defense he's ever played also, and with his length and size, it provides so much versatility and flexibility for that Celtics defense to be the best defense in the NBA right now. He has led them to being the hottest team in the league, as in those last 38 games, they are 29-9. They really turned their entire season around, and Tatum has been at the head of that. But moving on to the next forward spot, we have DeMar DeRozan on my Chicago Bulls. Now, I've been pretty critical of DeMar DeRozan on a lot of platforms, Twitter, my second channel, my main channel, you guys know the drill. But that's just because I hold players on my team to a very high standard, and I was happy about us signing DeMar DeRozan, but I was afraid of certain things that we would run into, and we've run into those things over the last month or so. But regardless of my feelings on his play this season and the criticism I do have for him, he's had a really good year this season, arguably the best of his career. He's averaging 28 points a game, 5 assists and 5 rebounds, along with nearly a steal, shooting 50% from the field, 35% from 3, albeit on less than 2 attempts, and 87% at the free throw line. He's been one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. You could argue he is the best, shooting nearly 48% in the mid-range. He's finally found that mix of being a great playmaker along with being a great scorer this season, and he's been one of the most clutch players in the NBA, being top 3 in multiple fourth quarter stats. And though DeRozan has fallen off a little bit from that little 35 point per game stretch that he went on, shooting 50-something%, broke the Wilt Chamberlain record and all of that, on the whole this year he's worthy of being second team All-NBA, and I believe this is the year that he cemented the fact that he's going to make the Hall of Fame in the future. But moving on to the final player on the second team, to round us up at center, we have Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see this and say, why is Karl Anthony Towns not here? And I gotta be honest, Rudy Gobert is easily the 3rd best center in the league. I like Cat, he does a great thing for the Timberwolves, and we'll talk about him later if he does make my 3rd team All-NBA, but as far as what Rudy Gobert has done this year, it's easily worthy of him being at this position on this team. On the season, he's averaging 15 points and 15 rebounds, which is leading the league in rebounding, by the way, along with nearly 2 blocks, shooting 71% from the field, which also leads the league as well. I talked about Gobert's impact on this team in a recent video where I addressed the biggest lies in the league, and you should go check it out if you haven't. But essentially, he's on this list because he's leading the league in rebounding. The Jazz are a top team in the Western Conference, or I should say a top 5 to 6 team, and that team is historically bad defensively, which would lead them to being a lottery team if he's not on the court. That's why he's on the second team. But moving on to our final team, the 3rd team All-NBA, to start us off at guard, we have Trae Young. Trae is having one of the best years of his career. You could actually argue statistically it is the best year of his career, averaging 28 points along with nearly 10 assists and 4 rebounds, shooting 46% from the field, 38% from 3 on nearly 8 attempts, and 90% at the free throw line. Trae is one of the best playmakers in the league. You could argue a top 3 to 5 playmaker in the NBA because of the constant attention he draws on the perimeter. He can find guys out of the double team. He's great in the pick and roll, one of the best pick and roll ball handlers in the league. He's nice in transition. I mean, there literally just isn't a pass that Trae Young doesn't know how to make at an elite level. And speaking of things that he does at an elite level, that brings us to his shooting and scoring. He's one of the best scorers in the league and one of the best shooters in the league as well, whether it's from 3 or at the free throw line, and he's a mastermind at getting to the free throw line, by the way. He obviously does have his faults, and that leads to why he's not higher on these teams, because the team has suffered due to his inability on the defensive side of the ball. And he's not just bad, he's all-time bad, and you could argue he's the worst defender in the league considering how many minutes he does get. But nonetheless, it is a great season. The Hawks have an above 500 record, and hopefully they do get in the playoffs through the play-in. But while we're on the topic of the best playmakers in the league, let's move on to the next one. At the guard position, we have Chris Paul. Chris Paul this year just picking up where he left off last year, leading the league in assists with nearly 11 a game, along with 15 points and nearly 5 rebounds, just short of 2 steals, shooting 49% from the field, 33% from 3, and 85% at the free throw line, which accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 58%. Chris Paul is truly the model of consistency in the NBA. He may not be what he was in his prime, but he's still playing at an all-star, all-NBA caliber level. He's got this Suns team operating at a high level. Like Devin Booker, he's on the best team, not only in the West, but in the league. He's been an all-time playmaker this year, and he's also been performing on the defensive side of the ball, not at an elite level, but he's still a pretty good defender, especially for somebody at his age. But speaking of guys playing well at their old age, that brings us to our first forward on the third team, LeBron James. Now, I know this is going to be a little bit controversial for some people. He could literally be on some's first team All-NBA, and he could be off some people's All-NBA teams. I mean, the Lakers are not even in the playoffs right now, and they are struggling for a play-in spot for the 10th seed. But I believe that LeBron's season has still been an all-time great year, and it should be treated as such with an All-NBA selection. He's leading the league in scoring, averaging 30 points a game, 6 assists and 8 rebounds, a steal and a block, shooting 52% from the field, 36% from 3 on 8 attempts, and 76% at the free throw line, which accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 62%. On the defensive side, the ball is really where the true criticism comes. In addition to their lack of winning, he really doesn't show too much effort on that side of the ball. But offensively, this is one of his best seasons to date, and his age just makes it that much more impressive, even though that really doesn't have an effect on why I have him on this team, if I'm being quite honest. I have him on this team because the Lakers suck. Whether he plays or doesn't play, that's just the state of the team, and he's had an amazing season that's worthy of being on this list individually. But moving on to the next forward that's also having a great individual season, even though his team is struggling, we have Kevin Durant. KD, the Slim Reaper, easy money sniper. I know he's not going to play 60 games this year, but Steph Curry made the third team All-NBA in 2018 while only playing 51 games, and KD is on pace to play more than that, and he is also worthy of making a third team All-NBA with the numbers that he got on his plate. He's averaging 30 points a game along with 6 assists, which is a career high, 7 rebounds, a block and a steal, shooting 52% from the field, 38% from 3 on 5 attempts, and 91% at the free throw line. That all accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 63%. I mean, the efficiency is truly insane, but that's Kevin Durant for you. On the defensive side of the ball, he's playing the best defense of his career. They don't really have that many great defenders around him, so he has to pitch in even more than he's ever had to do in his whole entire career, and I believe he's done more than enough of a good job. And as far as playmaking is concerned, this is the best playmaking season he's ever had, not just with the assist numbers, but even with the eye test. I mean, he's great at making reads, whether it's half-court transition, out of double teams. If you compare KD now as far as how he reads defenses as a ball handler and playmaker as compared to what he's done in the past, especially in OKC, I gotta say it's two completely different players. And as far as people using team record against why he should be on this team, let me just give you some context. When Kevin Durant plays, they are not only more than 10 games above 500, but they are 32-17 to be exact. But moving on to the final player on these All-NBA teams, not just the third, but to wrap up this video, we have Karl Anthony Towns at the final center position. Cat this year has had another pretty historic season for a player at his position, averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists, along with a block and a steal. But the historic part is that he's shooting nearly 53% from the field and 41% from 3 on 5 attempts, along with 83% at the free throw line. I really am pulling for Cat to become a better free throw shooter so we can get that 50-40-90 club on his name, because that'll be like a nice little confirmation of him being the best shooting big of all time, or at least 3-point shooting big, because some people could argue Dirk with the mid-range. But this year Cat has had a great offensive season. The Timberwolves are winning games. They're more than 10 games above 500, and they are 7th in the Western Conference. This team has truly found their stride this year, and Karl-Anthony Towns has been the best player with the most value on this team. He's a great passer out of the high post and low post. He's an amazing 3-point shooter, one of the best shooters in the league. Not just shooting bigs, but shooters in general, whether it's in the mid-range or from behind the 3-point line. Cat can knock it down anywhere on the NBA court. And even on the defensive side of the ball, I can see the improvement, whether it's with help defense, rim protection. He's not elite at those things, but he's adequate enough for them to be one of the better defenses in the league. Even though the Timberwolves are not some world beaters, it's nice to see Karl-Anthony Towns finally get some recognition in the NBA, because they're winning games. It may be a low bar, but it's the bar the Timberwolves have set for themselves, and with Anthony Edwards now on the team, I see bright things in their future. And Karl-Anthony Towns, enjoy this third-team All-NBA selection, because you deserve it. But that wraps up this video. As you can see on the screen, we have each and every team. On the first team, we have Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. On the second team, we have Ja, Devin Booker, Tatum, DeRozan, and Gobert. And on the final third team, we have Trae Young, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Karl-Anthony Towns. If you guys disagree, which I'm sure some people will, let me know down below your opinions in the comment section. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, as it shows support to the algorithm and helps out this channel. And if you want to take it a step further and you're new to the channel, make sure you press that subscribe button and that bell for post notifications. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.